Greetings, everyone, and welcome to the Infocast podcast, your gateway to the captivating intersection of artificial intelligence, information security, and privacy. I'm your host, Vinod Kombishan, Senior Director, heading Managed Services and Managed Security Services for Relevance. And I'm truly excited to have you embark on this enlightening journey with us. In a world where artificial intelligence is redefining the boundaries of technology, understanding its role in information security and privacy is not just insightful, it's imperative. With each episode, we are here to unravel the complexities, explore the advancements, and navigate the ethical considerations surrounding AI in this rapidly evolving landscape. Whether you are a seasoned AI professional, a cybersecurity enthusiast, a privacy advocate, or simply someone intrigued by the seamless fusion of these domains, this podcast is tailored for your curiosity. We are committed to demystifying technical jargons, delving into cutting edge AI applications, and engaging in thought provoking conversations with the trailblazers who shape this intriguing frontier. From examining the synergy between AI and threat detection to diving into the intricacies of AI driven privacy solutions, we cover a spectrum that encompasses both the exciting innovations and the ethical implications. Our guests span from AI researchers and cybersecurity experts to privacy advocates who are shaping this discourse. Yet, this podcast goes beyond technical insights. It's about understanding the broader societal impact of AI in information security and privacy. Together, we all navigate the challenges, spotlight the opportunities, and empower you with knowledge to navigate this dynamic landscape. Thank you for joining us on the InfoSec podcast. Together, let's embark on this enlightening exploration. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to introduce our esteemed guest for today's episode. With over 25 years of experience in the realm of information security, privacy, quality, risk management, and business continuity, our guest has made significant contributions to the ever evolving field of IT. A true luminary in the industry, our guest's journey has been nothing short of remarkable. With a wealth of experience under his belt, he has demonstrated an unwavering commitment in shaping the landscape of information security and technology. His passion and dedication have propelled him to leadership positions across diverse sectors, leaving an indelible mark on each endeavor. Having served as a director in the Ministry of Information Technology, where he pioneered groundbreaking initiatives, to assuming the role of Chief Information Security Officer in the software industry, our guest influence reaches far and wide. His leadership in the fintech sector has been equally transformative, steering organizations towards innovative while maintaining stringent security standards. What truly sets our guest apart in his continuous pursuit of knowledge, he is an alumnus of Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh, where he received specialized training in cybersecurity and CSIRT. His commitment to excellence is further reflected in the impressive array of certifications he holds, including CISSP, CISM, CRISC, ethical hacking, and CISA. Currently based in the vibrant city of New York, our guest is making waves at SS&C Technologies. His insights, experience, and expertise are sought after by organizations, institutions, and professionals alike as they navigate the complex landscape of technology and security. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our distinguished guest, Kallapa Ambi, to today's episode. Ambi, thank you for joining us and for sharing your invaluable insights and experience with our audience. Before we would dive into the intricate world of AI, information security, and privacy, could you please share a bit more about yourself? Your journey is incredibly diverse and impactful. What inspired you to embark on this path, and how have your experience shaped your perspective on the intersection of AI and the world of privacy and information security.
Right, thanks for very overwhelming introduction, and I'm very happy and delighted to be on this podcast and share my whatever experience I have gained over a period of my years in the work. Thanks, and definitely this is a continuous journey. So when we try to achieve certain domain expertise or knowledge in any domain, it's always a continuous evolvement, continuous learning. So just if you look at my current role now, I'm a senior director at SS&C Technology, New York, where we are a financial technology company. And we have been globally present across more than 100 offices globally. And I'm in charge for making our GRC program under the information security, made effective across all the locations, all the offices, and all the business units, so that we remain compliant in terms of information security, in terms of privacy, and in terms of the risk requirement and regulatory requirements. So that's how the current role I've been looking into this, and I've been with SS&C for quite some time now, more than 10 years now, and I've been established several certification for the organization itself. Apart from whatever I said, I acquired my certification to show that my improve my knowledge basically. But then we acquired a certification for organization in the field of ISO 27001 and ISO 27701, which is a privacy information management system. And it is very recent standard, basically, this one is. And this is built on the ISO international standards. They have brought in all the regulatory requirements across the globe, mainly GDPR, European, GDPR UK, and CCPA, and other relevant regulations which are prevailing across the globe. So they brought in all those inputs and they are built into the ISO standard. So we were first in our space to get this certified globally, and then we are demonstrating our commitment towards privacy and security to our clients and our partners. Yeah, that's how it is. A brief intro, though. Yeah, thanks.
Ambi, thank you for sharing your remarkable journey with us. As we delve deeper into the intricacies of AI, information security, and privacy, I would love to tap into your expertise on some key concepts. Could you kindly define the following terms for our listeners based on your perspective and experience? Zero trust architecture, supply chain security, cloud security, security by design. So let me just walk you through a questionnaire on what we are looking at. For example, in zero trust architecture, in your view, how would you define zero trust architecture? What are the fundamental principles that underpin this approach? And how does it reshape traditional notions of network security?
Yes, it's a very, very important question and very key word which is going around this whole zero trust principles, or just a zero trust architecture. So this principle is not a tool by itself. It is obviously it has to be implemented by several techniques, several protocols, and a lot of processes in place. So zero trust, as the name implies, you trust no one. Just don't trust anybody. And always we know that in our information security space, there are several threats coming from outside, but equally the threats are coming from inside. It could be unintentional or it could be intentional, accidental. So those internal threats, how do you counter them? So ultimately those becomes like unknown enemy is more dangerous than the known enemies. So how this is how the internal threats have to be tackled a more effective manner. And given the current scenario in the whole globe now, since the pandemic has hit us, the remote working, work from different location or anywhere, work from anywhere, all this has caused such a heavy amount of the impact on the attacks, or it could be can be compromised, any information. So that's why trust no one. So the zero trust is to trust no one and treat everyone as a guest, treat everyone as an outsider, even the employees. So once you do that, then we achieve the best level of control or security there. So obviously it has to be implemented by putting several principles or controls in place, like very micro segmentation, and getting into VPN, so that everybody needs to get into VPN if they need to get into the organization any resources. So that is very important. And then your IDS, IPS, protocols, and as well as the multi-factor authentication. So how you can implement a multi-factor authentication and make it mandatory, not optional, for all the users, even internal users or external users. So in that way, we can achieve the large extent, the filter out all the threats, and we call it as a zero trust principle. Otherwise, just don't trust anybody. Like firewall rule, deny all, something like that.
Supply chain security. Supply chain security is a critical consideration in today's interconnected world. How would you define it? And what strategies do you believe are crucial for organizations to ensure the integrity and security of their supply chain?
So again, this is a very important element and very important question to the industry, because nobody can run business alone independently. So every industry, every business depends on the suppliers, whatever different kind of suppliers. So it could be a digital supply, or it could be a physical material supplies, or it could be just a service supply. So every industry is having a multiple suppliers to make that business successful. So the supply chain is that sort, it goes to the from the main business is engaging the one supplier, and that supplier again, he can't be independent alone. That supplier one will depend on the supplier two, or the we call it as a third party, fourth party, fifth party. So basically, when we go to our third party, so he's the first supplier for us, and then we will have another supplier for himself. So that way he depends on the fourth party, and so on to the fifth party. So this is whole, it makes it as a supply chain now. So this is a completely called as a supply chain till it goes to end supplier. And now security part, how to build a security here. We have a good control to the third party probably, but not the fourth party, or we may not be seeing a fourth party at all. So now what happens? How can you control that security there? So it is obviously how best you can bring in your contract, your terms and condition with your third party, and then how you can dictate those to the next level suppliers through the third party. So that is the first control. But otherwise, you can't reach out to the every nth supplier. So it is definitely more important to visualize what kind of risk coming from the third party, and in turn, if he engages the fourth party, what risk can be introduced to us. And always we have seen in the industry, more breaches happen due to the third party weaknesses or supply chain weaknesses. So obviously we have to be very careful on this. So it is completely important area in the cybersecurity space now. Though it looks so simple supplier, it could be a supplier of any raw material, it could be supplier of any IT services, but then it is such a important for cybersecurity now. And there are different laws are coming in if we are doing business with Europe or UK, slavery act law. So anti-slavery law is there. So which says that our suppliers should not try to misuse the employees, or engage the employment, exploitation of the employers. So that is again law where UK has brought in. And if I am engaging a third party, and if he is misusing that, and he is misusing employees, so even the UK law can sue us. So that's why there are, even we have to see the litigations, the all impact of those regulations which are coming due to the engaging third parties and fourth parties. And obviously we have the some of the banned countries where we don't want to do any supply from there. So this is where to look at laws and regulations also when we're engaging our third parties and supply chain.
Cloud security. Cloud computing has revolutionized how organizations handle data and applications. What does cloud security mean to you? and how can organizations effectively navigate the challenges of securing their data in the cloud.
Yes, I think it is a real great, amazing thing what the technology has offered us, cloud computing, the whole capability. Because obviously everyone can't have their own infrastructure. Every business, let us think of a small business, or startups, or any medium scale business. So probably they can't afford themselves to have a data centers. Probably they can't afford to have their own complete infrastructure. So to start with initially, and still they want to initially run the business and achieve that whatever their objectives are. So cloud comes into picture. So there are cloud computing providers who will provide us that infrastructure, which could be it can be sometime platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, or it could be a software service. Typically, we go for platform or the infrastructure when you go to cloud computing. So this is offered by the cloud computing service providers or cloud service providers, CSPs, we call them, what we call. So when you look at the cloud security, so you can imagine that the organization is keeping their assets or their information assets in the somebody's infrastructure. So obviously we are trying to put our all knowledge or our data into the somebody's territory. So now we have to think how we are protecting it. So how we are controlling, how through this cloud computing, though we are keeping our very valuable information assets in the somebody's somebody's cabinets, somebody's cages. So how, and also it is shared by other clients, because the cloud computing is not meant for us alone. Then it would be, then we can have our own. But then it is obviously given to the multi-tenant scenarios. So the platform has been shared with other people. Sometimes database is shared with other people. So obviously the very important thing is to look at how the identity access management happens as a part of cloud security, and also how the patch management, how the other access controls, which are privilege accesses management, PAM, basically what you call privilege access management, and who has right to do it. It is not that we give up all the control and give to the cloud service provider. It is obviously we have to have a very important responsibility matrix. So we should write down into get into agreement with a defined responsibility matrix. So what the CSP is responsible for, and what the client is responsible. Client means the user, basically, who is a business is using a cloud. So what the business is responsible, and what the cloud service provider is responsible. And this is what defines the role, and then the responsibility, and then how you tackle the all the security requirements in case of securing it, as well as in case of any event happens. It could be operational event, any incident, operational outages, everything. But it comes with some advantage, like obviously it can give good scaling up. It can give you scale up, and it can ramp up your all resources quickly, and with a very economical features are there in the cost wise. But it comes definitely challenges to manage it more appropriately with this IAM, and then access controls and encryptions. All these controls have to be in place for the cloud computing. Yeah, then it will be successful. And also again, if you look at from the privacy, it is taking so much important in the landscape now. So where he's storing it, basically cloud is not that somewhere in the somewhere anywhere in the galaxy. It is somewhere on the ground somewhere. So what are the regulations, where they save it, where they're sending the backups, and who is getting access to all those things from the CSP side, cloud security, cloud service provider standpoint. So all that have to be listed, and we have to have a good contract there, and what frameworks they are offering. Like they have whether their certifications from the cloud security service provider, because sometimes we need if you are serving government clients, then if you are government contractor, your services are offered to government, then there may be government regulation that how the CSP is abiding to those requirements. All these have to be jotted out into the contract.
Secure by design. The concept of secure by design emphasizes embedded security from the outset of a project. How would you define this approach? And could you share some insights into how it can transform the development landscape?
Yeah, security by design is a very important term. Security by design, privacy by design, all these are, they go very hand in hand, the words, and this is also one of the requirement in ISO standard, also in the GDPR. So you take any more important regulations everywhere, this keyword is appearing, and they are emphasizing on this. So this is like whenever any system or any software is being developed, so it has to be, the security should come by design itself. So it's not that security can become automatically. It can't be achieved by just by chance. Security is not by chance. So obviously we need a security by design. That means now when our initial the requirements are gathered, when our system development requirements, software development requirements are gathered, and for the project, security should be a key important requirement there. It should be part of the initial SRS, what we call system requirement specifications. So the security should be built into the requirements, carried forward till the system is developed and delivered, and it can't be left or dropped anytime. The ball cannot be dropped anytime. So it could be like the security design is in terms of right now it could be um, how you test the security, so that it should be in the part of testing, part of the code scans we are doing. Then it is not just a functionality testing, it should be a security testing, the vulnerabilities testing, the static code scan we call. So the static code scan should be part of the whole your SDLC lifecycle. Then we have the dynamic code scan, so that before it gets into production, are you having your the preview mode and or the pre-production environment equivalent to the the production environment, and there are you doing a dynamic test, and then see that any weaknesses are revealed or something which can be exploited on the production if it goes to production. So there are several tools to do the static scan and dynamic scans, and then the of course, SQL injections are there. These all tests have to be part of the functional testing, integration testing, and acceptance testing. So you can't just isolate them from the any of the these things. So that's how it is. Ultimately, it should be part of the design throughout the SDLC, and then it has to be incorporated every milestone, tested every milestone, and that's how we can achieve the security, and it becomes by design now. And even when suppose something fails, it should be more of a, we call it as a fail safe or fail security. Like if your application is working for allowing some credit card payment, for example, and by chance there is a defect and it fails, it should not allow unlimited amount to be paid or unlimited transaction to happen on that. Rather, it should completely stop everything. So the fail security is, that's what it means. Even I can give example on simple other than non-software fail security. Assume that we are using access cards on door badge. Access card is a very common feature everywhere, and there is a fire, and if that system fails, door should get open, not that get locked. If they get locked, how people will go out? So fail securely or safely is that when something fails, it should safeguard the lives of people, reduce the risk, and it should not impact that failure should not impact adversely. Basically, failure is not a bad thing, but it should not impact further catastrophically. So that's how the fail securely and fail safely. Yeah. So these all should be aspect of the whole privacy or security by design, and this should be built or imbibed into the whole SDLC lifecycle. I think that's what I think it's the best way to explain it. Hopefully, I am elaborate enough.
So, Ambi, just let's get into the core part of this podcast, where we have set of questions targeted towards AI into security and its implications. So start with the first question. AI has shown remarkable advancements in various fields. How do you see AI influencing the landscape of privacy? And what are the potential benefits and concerns associated with this intersection?
Sure. I think it's very important in the recent times. The AI is taking over all the spectrum of whole this ecosystem. I mean, because now it is trying to make real strides in every area. So obviously, privacy or this cannot be left alone. So AI can help a large extent how the privacy management can be adapted. Uh, and also there are some challenges or some concerns would be there. So let us discuss that. Um, so obviously the what happens is when you use artificial intelligence, so it can avoid the uh, personification or personalization of the any data basically. So that way nobody really individual try to read into those privacy data or try to make any judgment on that. So that can be avoided, because if people are processing a privacy data, so it is likely that they would try to look at it and then they can derive some information and make some judgment and try to identify the individual out of those PIIs. So so that can be, we can overcome that challenge, and then we can do a personalization without specifically identifying an individual, and then we can deliver the real objective of that particular process. And also it can AI can help us in monitoring certain things, like how the privacy information is used. Is it used for the purpose of the business? Is it used for the purpose it is meant for, and what we agreed for? So this all we can monitor very well through the artificial intelligence. There we can develop a nice monitoring mechanism, reporting mechanism, and then also the good dashboards where it can give adequate confidence to the leadership how the privacy has been processed in the organization. And apart from that, even AI is capable, even if we have encrypted data, because most of the time there is a requirement to encrypt data to avoid the revealing privacy information. So it can still process such encrypted data. So that way, there's another advantage of the whole this one. So these are some of the good advantages where AI can help us. But obviously, AI is a double-edged tool. It can also bring in some downside. So we have to just look at that, what it can cause us a concern, like. So one is that AI can try to do a much of analysis, deep learning, or too much of analysis, and then it can accidentally expose certain things, which can reveal certain sensitive identification of any person where those PIs are belong to. So like this, it could be some of those threats which I can see there. And also it can start doing decision making. So it can start making a privacy information, like it can start making decisions, and very important control or the principle in GDPR article or even ISO controls. The question comes whether did you agree for making any decisions, automated decisions from the privacy information. So if that is true, then that has to be agreed under the contractual obligations, and then and what extent we can do automated decisions, all that have to be put into place. So if AI start doing it without looking into those commitments what has been made by the processor, it is going to be the violation there. It is going to be the causing us breach of a contract or breach of the clauses. So we need to be very careful there. And of course, AI can. We also see that a lot of now, in the internet and everywhere, like it can become a fake things. It can cause a fake data out of that. Like it could be if it's audio visual or video visual, there are all possibility that people are now faking it out. It's called deep fakes, which are very a major threat from the AI, and then that should be made sure that that scope is not available for by the organization, because this is now AI is one tool which we can use, and then organization has to bring in very strong processes to make it sure that AI is used for only limited need of the business and legally agreed process purpose only. Otherwise, it can become itself out of control, and then AI can start misusing the data. Or if there are any flaws in the AI, we don't know. I mean, unless until it is very well validated, it can reveal certain things, and it can lead to the privacy breaches. So that's what I call for some of the cautions here when AI is completely dependent for the privacy management. Yeah.
AI algorithms often rely on massive data sets for training. How can organizations ensure that these data sets respect user privacy and avoid perpetuating biases or compromising sensitive information?
Right. Yes, yes. It's very well said. I mean, obviously, AI works on the data sets. So it needs to have a good data. Based on that, only the algorithm can make good decisions. If the like garbage in, garbage out. So what do you call? So if we give a clean data and clean data set, and then obviously the process, if as long as AI is doing the intended function, so we can deliver the right response there. So obviously the data set has to be very clean, very accurate, and it should be preferably anonymized, so that way AI can't try to, as you said, exploit certain weaknesses or the downside things what AI can do. So anonymizing the data set is very important, and data aggregation is very important there. So that way, always it is aggregated data is used wherever possible, so that data points becomes less exposable or identifiable. So that way, the aggregated values are to be used better to and then make it sure that we are keep safeguarding the data subject's privacy there. And beyond this, I think data set is again, very important that we keep doing regular checks on that, on the data sets. So there should be a good cadence to do internal reviews and internal audits on the data set, and make sure that it has a proper, content there, and also it can regularly, make sure that we any other third parties have access or something like that. So what is that? How it can be protected. So obviously we need to do audit and internal reviews, which is very important. And next step is from where the data set is coming. So that's very important. So if the data set is being brought in from certain sources, so those sources we have to really review and see that it is a right and appropriate source, and it is giving a most recent data set as well, so that whatever the process happens is accurate enough for the business and the individuals. So this part is that's why the source is very key here when we think of it. Yeah, and then if you think of biasing or something there, it's definitely do regularly testing the algorithms, and what are the other approaches there to avoid this any bias decisions or something like that. So this has to be adjusted in the algorithm, and we need to test it regularly and make sure that we avoid such any implication of bias. Yeah.
Privacy and personalization often seems at odds with each other. How can AI strike a balance between delivering personalized experiences and respecting individual privacy preferences?
Oh, yes. I think now biometric is becoming a key parameter in whole identity management, because that's how the uniqueness comes. Uniqueness comes to the anybody's identity. So it is a very, very strong control and a very valid control, and it becomes invariably important in the landscape of this whole identity management for privacy and everything. But at the same time, if AI starts using this, and it should not, as you said, deepfaking, or these are the threats which are coming from the AI. So this can be countered by very strong principles of handling these biometric data. So first of all, biometric data should be defined the real purpose for what it is being captured, and consent from the individuals why it is taken for that purpose, and then we how we protect it when it is being captured. Is it kept in a proper encrypted mode with privilege accesses are properly exercised, so that it is not go to the wrong hands. So if the AI can reveal that to somebody the wrong hands, then they can try to, again with some other technology, they can try to do the misuse that, and try to make fake, the fake information or fake data there based out of that. So auditing those things very important, because audit and review comes very important phase in all these areas. Access reviews, who has access, so regular access reviews, revocation of the access privileges when no more required by the individuals who are role, because if there is no role change happens, people are rotated, and then and so that's why the access review and the real audit, access audit, certification, recertification of accesses, these are very important to avoid such threats. And if you're using a third party, imagine what kind of threats would come through the supply chain. If somebody is like controller is having to give it capturing those data and then giving it to third party, or third party is collecting this biometric information, then obviously we have to exercise so many controls on the third party regarding its storage, regarding its encryption, and what media they're using, what are the locations they're using to store it, and how about the physical access, logical access. So these all have to be thought through, and then really we have to build a very strong security framework around this to protect this defaking and misuse of the biometric data.
Privacy regulations like GDPR emphasizes user consent and control over their data. How can AI systems effectively communicate their data practices to users in a clear and understandable manner?
So consent is a very key aspect in the GDPR or even any privacy regulations, because no, every person has right to for his privacy. Every individual has a right to his privacy. So without the individual's consent, privacy information or data should not be captured and kept processed. So there should be a transparency what privacy data is being captured, and there should be a transparency about how it is used and what purpose it is used and how long it is used. Are you going to keep it forever, or are you going to keep it for limited time? So these all are part of the whole data subject consents and individual consents to that. So the AI can come into picture and give more training aspect here, more awareness aspect to the individuals. It can prepare some good presentations. It can before person feeds privacy data or privacy data before it is captured, there could be a good trainings, the material or videos which can be created by AI and inform the because we have every kind of person, like it's applicable to all the overall general citizens when it comes to privacy. It is not that only certain industry people are going to be part of this. So ultimately privacy is now impacting every citizen of the country, every citizen of the globe, we can say. So there could be different background for every citizen. So he may not be very well versed with the language, what we are presenting, what you're talking, or the script, what is coming when he's giving a consent. Like a big page will come as a consent, please click here, and so if you see 100 lines of the consent, then it will be too difficult for an individual to read and understand, and a lot of legal terminologies there, legal even educated person would have a challenge to understand that and then give it. So he may be having a real skeptical mind whether to I agree or not to agree, or if I agree unknowingly or half-heartedly. So whether the AI can really take a role here, can give certain videos or some it can run some training material and then try to give them how the privacy is data is being captured and what purpose it is being captured and how it will be used, so that we can feel assured, the individual can feel more safe about sharing his information. So this can play a great role there, developing those visuals or audio kind of material to educate the users about the consent. Otherwise, it is just simply one pager in a small lines, and then person will have to just say checkbox and say agreed.
AI-enhanced surveillance technologies are capable of monitoring public places. How do we strike a balance between using AI for security and privacy concerns related to mass surveillance?
I think first of all, we have to see where the mass surveillance is required because it should be mainly it could be something like airport, or it could be some railway stations, or wherever we need to have a security of the citizens or of the people. Like it could be a shopping mall or something where we need certain areas where we want to monitor who is coming and all. So obviously, the first of all, the surveillance has to have a right requirements to be identified. Why you're surveilling, why you're doing surveillance here, why you're capturing those pages, and then if so, is it for the business purpose? Is it for the security of the people? Is it for the security of that particular location? So that's what has to be identified, and then that's what the mass surveillance can be incorporated. So AI can be good, can play a very great role here, because now the surveillance is suppose monitored by people, or it is accessed by the monitoring surveillance team, then probably they can misuse that clipages, or they can derive some judgments. They can try to draw some conclusions and try to identify a certain person and go whether it can be shared with somebody and can be misused. Like certain persons movement, certain persons what are the activities happening in a regular manner. And if that can be learned by any individual monitoring person, then it can cause a threat to that individual. It can be possible that. So the AI can avoid, can overcome that, probably because there is no human involved here. So probably it can capture everything through AI, can come into role here, and avoid those identifications, deriving the judgments, making any risk to the any individuals, and then it can be only shared to the right leadership, those all dashboards and those clipages, and when need be. So normally the clipages are not really and alert mechanism. So we can have a certain nice alert mechanism in the AI, like some suspicious activity or movement, or suspiciously some clipage comes in. So it can alert to the monitoring team, saying that it needs attention. So that way, rather than person or a team where they themselves do it, and there can be errors, human errors. They may not be attentive because surveillance needs a real attention, and then obviously human has a limitation. So human beings probably sometimes do some errors and can cause so it is a positive definitely here, where AI can come in and then try to do that all protections and alerting system, rule-based alerting to the people monitoring team, consoles, control rooms basically. Only the caution is again, AI has to be protected properly, wherever it is being implemented, so that it should not reveal access of those things to somebody unauthorized person.
I have a very important question, and as we reach to the last question for this session, who to be held responsible and accountable for fulfilling the data subject rights?
Oh, okay. Yeah, very good, very great question. So data subject is what? Data subject is an individual. Every citizen, every person is a data subject, because he's sharing his data. He is giving his privacy data. He is giving his the sensitive information to the controller. So there are keywords that want, before to understand this, who is responsible, we have to understand some keywords here. One is the controller, then joint controller, and the processor. So these are the key entities, basically. Three entities are there in the whole privacy framework here. So controller is the one who controls all the privacy data for the data subjects, and he collects them. He needs that to do his business or to offer whatever service he's offering. So he's a controller, and he may engage some other entity also to execute his function at the same level, so they can act as both as together joint controllers. So that's how the joint controller comes into the picture, if there are two entities doing that. The next one could be the processor. Processor is now the controller is engaging a sub-processor or the third party who will process the privacy data on his behalf. So this is how the relation comes into it. Maybe for simple, if you want any analogy or example here, let us say the government organization which is collecting citizens' information for passport processing, passport issue purpose. So now the government becomes a controller, or passport office becomes a controller here, and then the passport they get all the forms filled and data collected by the data subjects. But whereas now the passport office is outsourcing that, the whole printing of the passports or analyzing that data to the processor. There could be some third party now as a part of supply chain. So that supply chain third party is a processor. So controller is passport office, and then the IT company or the physical service provider could be a processor. So there are two people now. So now the responsibility comes for data subject access rights to both. So always the data subject can go to the controller and say that I have right to do these things, because data subject has right to certain things like erasure, forgotten, or it could be correction, or it could be completely deleted. So he can ask for that. So if it is those are the minimum rights what the individual privacy rights are with him. So he can exercise with the controller. And if case that it has gone outside controller to do that, because they already passed down that data to this processor, now the processor also has a responsibility to do the same thing. And now directly the data subject, because when the data is collected by the controller, they have already informed the subject that how they are processing the data, how they are processing that particular privacy information. So they said, I am going to use this sub-processor for you guys. I am using it for this business purpose, and I am going to keep this for this much time. So this all is declared, and this has to be transparent for to the data subject. So now data subject can directly go to the data processor also, and he can make a request for his data subject access right, data subject rights, DSR. Basically, it is called DSR, or access rights, or subject rights, just rights. So what is that right? Now that means now there should be a provision by the processor as well as by the controller, where the data subject has all the mechanism to make a request. First of all, he should know where to request, whom to request, how to request. If that information is not there, then the whole thing fails completely. His right is lost. The data subject right is lost, and his request cannot be made. And if it is made, he doesn't know where to make, then it's a problem. So that's why this awareness has to be told. There's a lot of training, awareness, and spreading this knowledge to the every data subject is very important. So obviously now a lot of companies as a processors can be compelled. Those will have to be compelled by controller through the contract. So when the contract is signed between the controller and the processor, the controller should tell that you should have a provision for data subjects to exercise their rights. So please explain the mechanism, what you are doing it. And there are timelines typically. So within that timeline, the subject has to be informed and confirm that they have met or executed that request. So this is very important. So and then these all are the framework, like it could be through web page, it can happen, or it can happen through whatever mode of communication. They can make a request to the processors and then ask them to exercise their rights. So and then processor has to, should be in a position to demonstrate that he's doing it accurately, and he's trying to meet that requirement, and he's trying to come back and tell the controller that he has done this when controller audits or reviews that process.
And there you have it. Another enlightening episode of the Infosec podcast comes to a close. I want to extend my sincere gratitude to our distinguished guest, Mr. Kallapa Ambi, for gracing us with his wisdom and insights today. Ambi, your expertise has illuminated the complex intersections of AI, information security, and privacy. And we are truly grateful for your response and presence. To our listeners, thank you for joining us on this journey of exploration and discovery. Your engagement and curiosity drive us to continue bringing you meaningful conversations that empower you in the evolving landscape of technology and security. As we wrap up, remember that your digital journey is a collaborative effort, one that necessitates understanding, vigilance, and proactive measures. Stay tuned to more thought provoking discussions, expert insights, and stories that unfold the ever evolving narrative of AI in information security and privacy. If you found today's episode valuable, don't hesitate to share it with your colleagues, friends, and fellow enthusiasts. Your support fuels our mission to educate, inspire, and cultivate a more secure digital world. Until next time, I'm Vinod Komishan, signing off from the Infosec podcast. Stay secure, stay curious, and keep embracing the transformative power of technology with an unwavering commitment to privacy and security. Goodbye for now.
Thanks, Vinod. Bye bye.